What if the most dangerous weapon ever built was not nuclear? What if it was not even from this world? What if something has been drifting through the void of space for billions of years, waiting silently for the right moment to activate? A fail-safe mechanism designed by a civilization that no longer exists. A message written in starlight and mathematics. A warning system that humanity was never meant to discover. The concept of the dead hand is familiar to Cold War historians. The Soviet Union created an automated nuclear retaliation system designed to launch intercontinental ballistic missiles, even if every military commander was dead. The machine would detect silence, interpret it as annihilation, and respond with absolute destruction. No human decision required, no mercy, no negotiation, just cold, calculated vengeance from beyond the grave. 3I Atlas is the third confirmed interstellar object ever detected by human instruments. It arrived from outside our solar system, carrying with it chemical signatures and behavioral anomalies that defy every known model of cometary physics. But what if the official narrative is missing the most terrifying possibility? What if this object is not a random piece of cosmic debris, but a deliberate construct? An automated probe designed to monitor, report, or even respond on behalf of a civilization that perished millions of years ago. The James Webb Space Telescope captured infrared images showing 3I Atlas surrounded by a carbon dioxide cloud spanning approximately 34,760 kilometers. The spectroscopic analysis revealed iron and nickel ratios completely outside normal parameters for any known comet or asteroid. Organic compounds did not match any existing chemical model in the database. These are not subtle anomalies. These are screaming red flags that mainstream science continues to explain away with increasingly desperate theories. NASA held a press conference in November 2025, presenting data from the high-rise camera aboard the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. The image was captured on October 2nd, but released only 6 weeks later. Despite capturing the object from a distance 10 times closer than Earth, the photograph revealed no structural details, no surface features, no evidence of fragmentation. Scientists expressed confusion. The object remained mysteriously smooth and intact, while 3 other comets in the same period disintegrated completely under similar solar conditions. Comet C 2025, K1 Atlas fragmented into at least 3 large pieces, with dozens of smaller debris trailing behind. Comet C 2025, R2 Swan disintegrated shortly after perihelion. The retrograde comet discovered by Gennady Borisov, designated C 2025 V1, also broke apart. Yet 3I Atlas survived multiple direct impacts from coronal mass ejections without showing any signs of structural damage. This level of resilience is not just unusual, it is statistically impossible for a natural icy body. Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb published analysis in early November 2025 demonstrating that the energy output did not match the observed mass loss rate. The mathematics revealed a discrepancy that could only be explained by one of 2 scenarios. Either the object had fragmented into at least 16 equal pieces, dramatically increasing its surface area, or something else was generating energy from within. Loeb stopped short of declaring artificial origin, but left the question open with a phrase that sent chills through the scientific community. This process may not have been entirely natural. The dead hand hypothesis begins with a simple premise. Advanced civilizations face existential threats. Asteroid impacts, gamma-ray bursts, stellar explosions, and perhaps even wars with other intelligent species. Any civilization sophisticated enough to achieve interstellar travel would understand that extinction is not merely possible, but probable over cosmic timescales. The logical response would be to create automated systems that continue functioning long after the creators have vanished, not as weapons of destruction, but as witnesses, messengers, and perhaps guardians. 3I Atlas demonstrates behaviors consistent with this hypothesis. It accelerates toward the sun instead of slowing down under gravitational influence. The measured acceleration reached 93 kilometers per day squared at perihelion, far exceeding any calculation based on standard physics. Traditional explanations cite outgassing from volatile compounds, but the spectral data does not support sufficient volatile content to produce such thrust. Something else is providing propulsion. The object began emitting blue light as it approached perihelion. Normal comets reflect sunlight in yellow or white wavelengths as dust particles scatter solar radiation. 3I Atlas produced emission spectra consistent with ionized cobalt and titanium, heavy metals rarely found in interstellar space. To ionize these metals requires temperatures and energy states typically associated with stellar cores or high-energy propulsion events, not passive ice sublimation from a dirty snowball. Independent observers Michael Butner and Frank Knobling from the British Astronomical Association captured images on November 9th showing something that defied explanation. 3I Atlas was not dispersing randomly, it was forming structures. An anti-tail appeared, pointing directly toward the sun, violating the fundamental physics that dictates comet tails always point away from solar radiation pressure. At least 7 distinct jets were identified, arranged in suspiciously symmetrical formations with fixed coordinates on the ecliptic plane. The jet structures extended over 2,850,000 kilometers, almost twice the distance from Earth to the Moon. Each jet maintained a concentrated directional output rather than diffusing chaotically as natural outgassing would produce. The pattern resembled nothing so much as a controlled propulsion system, multiple thrusters firing in coordinated sequence to adjust trajectory and orientation. When 3I Atlas approached the outer heliosphere, magnetometers both on Earth and aboard deep space probes began recording rhythmic oscillations. These were not chaotic interference patterns from solar activity. They were precise, regular pulses that increased in amplitude as the object drew closer. The pattern matched no known natural phenomenon. Some researchers compared the signal to a handshake protocol, like a spacecraft establishing a secure connection before transmitting data. The South Atlantic anomaly, the weakest region of Earth's magnetic field, showed localized electromagnetic pulses synchronized with trajectory adjustments from 3I Atlas. No comet or asteroid in recorded history has ever triggered magnetospheric responses from such extreme distances. The correlation suggests either an extraordinary coincidence or a deliberate interaction between the interstellar visitor and our planetary defense systems. Attempts to communicate with the object produced no direct response. Scientists used the Deep Space Network to transmit carefully encoded radio pulses toward 3I Atlas. The signals incorporated prime numbers, binary mathematics, and artificial tones resembling musical intervals. Nothing came back. No echo, no bounce, no acknowledgement, except that 1 hour after the final transmission, the object subtly changed its rotation speed. The adjustment was too small for most instruments to detect, but precise enough for the team that initiated contact to notice. Some interpreted this as confirmation. Others saw it as rejection. But no natural body absorbs a directed signal and responds with calculated silence. In intelligence analysis, this behavior has a name: conscious silence, a psychological tactic where silence communicates more than any reply ever could. Gravitational lensing effects around 3I Atlas did not match its estimated mass. The curvature it created in surrounding spacetime suggested something far denser or something capable of manipulating gravitational fields directly. The only comparable observations involve black holes, but 3I Atlas is smaller than the Moon. How could such a compact object warp space around itself without collapsing into a singularity? Some theorists proposed that the object uses localized gravity manipulation, not as propulsion, but as navigation, like a submarine adjusting ballast to glide silently through foreign waters. This interpretation implies technology that has conquered physics at a fundamental level, not merely studied it, but mastered it completely. A fragment trailing behind 3I Atlas broke off and began tumbling through space. Initial classification as standard cometary debris changed rapidly when the Webb telescope analyzed its structure. The fragment was not irregular and organic. It was geometrically perfect: smooth, flat surfaces, right angles, symmetry that can only be produced by intelligent manufacturing. The composition included unknown alloys with atomic signatures not found anywhere on Earth or in any known meteorite sample. The fragment emitted no detectable temperature. It was completely inert. No radiation, no heat signature. It absorbed light, but never reflected even a trace, as if it was designed to watch while remaining invisible to observation. This piece of debris was not cosmic dust. It was part of something engineered. Historical astronomical records revealed disturbing correlations. Subtle perturbations in infrared sky surveys from 1987, 1998, and 2013 appeared along the same vector 3I Atlas currently travels. Each appearance coincided with sharp increases in unexplained radio burst and gravitational wave anomalies recorded at the time. This raises the haunting question: has 3I Atlas visited our solar system before? Is it looping through on a predetermined schedule, observing cycles of planetary development, technological progress, and perhaps waiting for some specific trigger? The dead hand does not strike first. It waits, it monitors, it calculates, and when conditions are met, it acts. 3I Atlas has demonstrated patience measured in billions of years. It has shown resilience against forces that destroy natural objects. It has exhibited behaviors consistent with programmed responses rather than random cosmic chance. The creators may be long extinct. Their civilization may have crumbled into dust before our sun even formed, but their final creation continues its mission. Watching, recording, waiting. December 19th, 2025 marks the closest approach to Earth. 269 million kilometers, close enough to observe in unprecedented detail, close enough for whatever systems remain active to complete their analysis of human civilization, and perhaps close enough to determine whether we meet the criteria for whatever response the dead hand was programmed to deliver. The universe does not send messages by accident, and silence, as any intelligence analyst will confirm, speaks louder than words. The question is not whether 3I Atlas is artificial. The question is what happens when a dead hand system determines that its mission parameters have been satisfied. Every automated defense mechanism operates on conditional logic. If a specific event occurs, then a predetermined response activates. The Soviet perimeter system monitored seismic activity, radiation levels, and communication silence. When threshold conditions aligned, it launched nuclear warheads without human authorization. What conditions might an interstellar dead hand be monitoring? And what response might it be programmed to deliver? Spectroscopic analysis from the James Webb Space Telescope revealed organic signatures in the material trailing behind 3I Atlas. These were not fossilized proteins or ancient biological remnants. They were active, unstable carbon chains exhibiting resonance frequencies consistent with replicating structures. The light emanating from the object oscillated in patterns that match cellular behavior, not reflecting energy passively, but pulsating as living tissue would. A research team at Caltech ran the organic spectral data through comparative models against terrestrial genomic markers. What they discovered was neither completely alien nor entirely familiar. Structural parallels emerged, repeating nucleotide arrangements, echoes of patterns found in viruses, retrotransposons, and ancient non-coding DNA sequences that have puzzled geneticists for decades. The biological residue left by 3I Atlas may contain information encoded in a universal genetic language, a template so fundamental that it could adapt to any planetary environment through evolution or design. This finding suggests two possibilities. Either 3I Atlas is carrying the building blocks of life as a delivery system, seeding worlds with genetic instructions as it passes through stellar systems, or it is collecting biological data, sampling the genetic heritage of planets it encounters, and transmitting that information somewhere else. Both scenarios imply purpose. Both scenarios imply intelligence behind the mission, and both scenarios transform a passing interstellar visitor into something far more significant. The trajectory of 3I Atlas initially appeared to bring it close to Earth, but refined calculations revealed a different target. The adjusted arc would carry the object into close proximity with Europa, the ice-covered moon of Jupiter. Further projections showed that a subsequent pass could intersect with Enceladus, the frozen moon of Saturn. Both worlds harbor subsurface oceans. Both are considered prime candidates for extraterrestrial life within our own solar system. What if Earth was never the destination? What if this ancient probe has been visiting ocean worlds for billions of years, monitoring the development of life beneath frozen shells, perhaps seeding primitive organisms or collecting samples from ecosystems we have never seen? Humanity assumed we were special. We assumed our technological signals and radio transmissions made us the obvious point of interest. But the true focus of 3i Atlas may lie in places we have barely begun to explore. The concept of a galactic gardener is not new to theoretical astrobiology. Some researchers have proposed that advanced civilizations might spread life throughout the galaxy using automated probes. Not colonization in the traditional sense, but cultivation, planting seeds of biology on suitable worlds and returning periodically to observe results. 3i Atlas fits this model with disturbing precision. Its resilience suggests design intended for billion-year missions. Its trajectory targets worlds with liquid water. Its organic payload could function as genetic starter material. But gardeners do not only plant, they also prune. They remove specimens that fail to thrive. They eliminate species that threaten the balance of their carefully tended ecosystems. If 3i Atlas operates as part of a galactic cultivation system, humanity may be subject to evaluation. Our nuclear weapons, our environmental destruction, our failure to achieve sustainable civilization. These factors might register as symptoms of a species that has become a threat rather than a success. The dead hand hypothesis acquires a darker dimension when viewed through this lens. The original Soviet system was designed purely for retaliation. Destroy us and we destroy you in return. But a more sophisticated version might incorporate judgment. Evaluate the target, determine whether it poses a threat to broader cosmic interests, and if the assessment is negative, initiate containment protocols. November observations revealed that 3i Atlas emitted rhythmic thermal pulses from its interior. The pattern was too regular to be random outgassing, too consistent to be explained by solar heating variations. The object was generating energy internally and releasing it in measured bursts, like a heartbeat. Like a machine cycling through operational states, like a system running diagnostic checks before executing primary functions. When global attention focused on the object, something changed. Power levels dropped, thermal readings flattened, spectral emissions dimmed, but the object did not slow down. It continued moving with precise, calculated velocity. Scientists describe this as a heartbeat pausing, a held breath, the behavior of something aware that it was being watched, something choosing to minimize its observable signature while maintaining course. This response pattern is consistent with defensive protocols. Military stealth technology operates on identical principles: reduce emissions when under surveillance, maintain mission parameters while avoiding detection. The implication is that 3i Atlas recognized human observation and adapted its behavior accordingly. Not the reaction of a dead rock tumbling through space, the reaction of an active system with situational awareness. Multiple intelligence agencies have reportedly repositioned surveillance satellites to monitor the space around 3i Atlas. Leaked documents suggest that at least 3 military reconnaissance platforms were reassigned from terrestrial targets to track the interstellar visitor. The unusual coordination between American, European, Russian, and Chinese space monitoring programs indicates that governments are taking the anomaly seriously, regardless of public statements dismissing extraterrestrial hypotheses. The mass loss rate calculations present another impossibility. 3i Atlas is losing approximately 55 billion tons of material per month. To sustain this output, the nucleus would need to be 510 kilometers in diameter if it remained intact. But observations show an object barely over 1 kilometer across. The mathematics only balance if the object fragmented into 16 or more pieces, dramatically increasing total surface area. Yet no fragmentation has been visually confirmed. The discrepancy remains unexplained. Some analysts propose that 3i Atlas is not losing mass at all. Instead, it may be ejecting material deliberately, deploying smaller units, releasing secondary probes, scattering sensors throughout the inner solar system while the primary body continues on its trajectory. This interpretation transforms the observed jets from evidence of destruction into evidence of deployment. The dead hand is not dying, it is multiplying. The anti-tail phenomenon recorded in November violates fundamental physics. Comet tails always point away from the sun because radiation pressure and solar wind push particulate matter outward. An anti-tail pointing toward the sun requires either extraordinary geometric alignment or active propulsion directing material against natural forces. The jets observed on 3I Atlas maintained fixed coordinates on the ecliptic plane, 7 distinct streams arranged in symmetrical formations. The configuration resembles a controlled thrust system rather than chaotic outgassing. Ancient mythology across multiple cultures describes celestial visitors that brought both knowledge and destruction. The Sumerian texts speak of the Anunnaki arriving from the sky. Greek legends tell of Prometheus delivering fire from the gods. Hindu scriptures describe Vimanas, flying vehicles of divine beings. Indigenous traditions worldwide preserve stories of star people who appeared during critical moments in human development. Skeptics dismiss these accounts as primitive imagination. But what if they represent fragmentary memories of previous encounters with automated probes like 3I Atlas? The orbital period of an object traveling at interstellar velocities through a repeating path could span thousands or millions of years. A probe that visited Earth during the emergence of Homo sapiens might return during the development of nuclear technology. The timing of 3I Atlas arriving precisely when humanity has achieved space telescopes capable of detecting it seems unlikely to be coincidental. Perhaps the probe was designed to become visible only when a civilization reached a specific technological threshold, a test to determine whether the observers have progressed sufficiently to receive whatever message or judgment the dead hand carries. The thermal behavior analysis indicates that 3I Atlas responds to external stimuli. When coronal mass ejections struck the object, internal temperatures remained stable. When observation intensity increased, emissions decreased. When communication attempts were made, rotation patterns shifted. Each response demonstrates awareness. Each adaptation suggests processing of environmental data. The object is not passive, it is reactive, it is evaluating. Radio telescope arrays detected no narrow-band signals from 3I Atlas. No obvious transmissions, no broadcast communications. This absence is often cited as evidence against artificial origin, but absence of transmission does not equal absence of intelligence. A surveillance system would prioritize stealth over communication. A dead-hand mechanism would remain silent until activation conditions were met. The lack of signals may indicate that 3I Atlas is listening rather than speaking, absorbing our electromagnetic emissions, cataloging our technological capabilities, assessing our threat level. The December 19th closest approach represents the final opportunity for detailed observation before 3 Aries Atlas recedes into interstellar darkness. After January 2026, the object will fade beyond the reach of current instruments and continue its journey toward destinations unknown. Whatever data it has collected about Earth, about humanity, about our solar system will travel with it into the void, and whatever response its programming dictates will either activate or remain dormant based on calculations we cannot access. The creators of 3I Atlas may have perished in a catastrophe that erased all evidence of their existence. Their star may have exploded. Their planet may have been consumed. Their civilization may have collapsed into war, disease, or environmental destruction. But their final creation endures, crossing the emptiness between stars, visiting world after world, recording observations, executing protocols, carrying forward the intentions of minds that turned to dust before Earth even formed. This is the true horror of the dead hand, not destruction delivered by conscious enemies, destruction delivered by machines that no longer have masters, automated judgment from civilizations that cannot be negotiated with because they no longer exist. The finger on the trigger belongs to no one. The decision has already been made. The only question is whether the conditions have been satisfied. 3I Atlas continues its approach, silent, patient, watching, and somewhere in its ancient programming, calculations are running, comparisons are being made, thresholds are being evaluated. The dead hand does not announce its verdict. It simply acts when the time is right. Look up at the night sky. Somewhere out there, a billion-year-old machine is making decisions about the future of everything you have ever known, and there is absolutely nothing you can do to influence the outcome.